Long shadows stretch across the large, seemingly abandoned office building as the sun set in the distance. The moving shadows cast by the branches bouncing in the wind put me even more on edge, my eyes glancing to and fro as I stood at the entrance of the 10-story building. Have you ever seen an abandoned office building? They're usually pretty cool. I follow this Abandoned Places in Texas Facebook group and this subreddit called Abandoned Porn, because I've always fantasized about exploring old rundown locations, and I have done so from time to time. Don't judge me, I didn't come up with that name. When I was like 10, my family frequently went camping in New Mexico. We'd load up the camping trailer and we'd somehow always end up in little camping spots nearby these old buildings that were falling apart. Sometimes a cabin, sometimes a hotel that got burned down by a fire or something. Maybe it's just the fond childhood memories. This place invokes no fond memories. In fact, there are few places I've been as ominous as this one. I shudder as I look up at the entrance to the office building, the glass that I assume used to be part of the sliding doors lying in broken pieces all over the concrete floor. Ground? You know, the thing that you step on but it's not made out of dirt but is also sort of outside? I don't actually know what the word is for that. Ground doesn't seem right because it's not part of the earth. But whatever, I'm gonna go with ground. Pieces of jagged glass lie all across that. I take a step forward but then pause. You know how sometimes you'll have this totally random memory from your past? A memory from childhood comes to mind where I was playing hide and seek with my sister and one of our friends, and I was trying to be sneaky. But I stepped on some broken glass and it sliced my foot. Instead of crying, I started trying to see what would happen if an ant tried to eat my blood. So I got a leaf and put a drop of blood from my foot on the leaf and then tried to feed it to the ant. Instead, I got the white shorts that I was wearing all bloody, and then my mom yelled at me, asking why I would do something like that. So I didn't play with blood anymore. But the irony is that here I am hunting a creature that literally likes to suck blood from people, just like I thought the ant might do if it got onto my foot. Except, unlike then, I'm actually genuinely terrified. Vampires are no joke. And there truly is nothing like feeling the hair on your arms rise as your heart race accelerates in anticipation of the utter horror that is one of the undead. They're undead because they're physically alive but their soul is dead, so the cliché works. My name is Ray, and, yeah, I'm hunting a vampire. Now, before you get the wrong idea, not really sure what that idea would be, but I feel like that's a thing people say. A vampire isn't a fictional creature that likes bats or whatever. A vampire is actually just a human who makes a specific kind of pact with a demon. The purpose is to give them longevity and strength, but the side effect is that it causes them to have an insatiable lust for human blood on a regular occasion. That, of course, means they're kind of dangerous, and among the most horrifying of the evil fauna that are out there. The first time I encountered a vampire I nearly peed my pants. I still get the same deep feelings of terror anytime I'm on the hunt. Although I've not peed myself since that first time. Progress. I step cautiously through the shattered glass, mindful of the risk. My family have been Catholic vampire hunters for generations. My great-great-grandfather started it all, back when he faced down a vampire who terrorized our small Texas town. He discovered the ancient texts and rituals hidden away in the Vatican's secret archives. Since then, we've sworn to protect humanity from the unholy pact these creatures, and others like them, that's another story, make. The building's interior is just as eerie as its shattered facade. Broken office furniture litters the floor, papers strewn everywhere. It's like a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie, except this is real life, and my life is anything but ordinary. Last time I saw a post-apocalyptic movie, I think it was called Mad Max and the Furry Road or something like that. I don't really recall any furry road, so I am not sure if that's the right name, but it was about a bunch of people chasing each other in cars in a desert. I remember my brother dragged me along to the movies because he said Mom wouldn't let him see it without me. He's younger than me, and he promised it'd be really cool, but I honestly just didn't get the point of it. Hopefully there are no creepy guys playing guitars in here. I clutch the vial of holy water hanging around my neck, making sure it's easily accessible. Now, you might be wondering why I don't just call for backup or bring a team along. Well, the answer is simple. My family has always been secretive about our calling. It's a tightly kept tradition, passed down from parent to child. You won't find us on any TV shows or in tabloid headlines. We're the unsung heroes, the silent protectors, a dark night. Okay, sorry, that was just funny. I couldn't help it. I actually really like the Batman movies, but Christopher Nolan's version, not the older ones. Sue me. I actually have my brother to thank for that. David is kind of into sci-fi and stuff. I can't say it's my exact cup of tea, but the Batman trilogy actually is one of my faves. I mean seriously. Who can beat Heath Ledger's performance? Rip Heath. And rip me if I don't pay attention. I hear a faint, guttural growl echoing through the corridor. My heart quickens. The vampire is close. I inch forward, following the noise. The darkness is my ally. I guess I sort of was born in it, molded by it. Human wounds are fairly dark, you know, but I guess I'm not special in that regard. As I move silently, invisible to the creature's enhanced senses thanks to my special prayer. No, it's not a Hail Mary. We do have more prayers than just that one, you know. Memories of my father's stern training sessions flood my mind. He'd always emphasize the importance of precision, of maintaining our faith. Audrey Kate, he'd say, he only uses my full name when he's telling me something really serious, or when I'm in trouble, like that time a few months ago when I borrowed his car for a late-night Taco Bell run without asking. You must never doubt the strength of your beliefs, the backing of the saints, and the power of the cross. It's what sets us apart from them. Those words have been etched into my very soul. Now time to etch a stake into this lost soul. Before you think I'm a maniac, let me tell you, vampires are lost causes. There's no coming back from that, spiritually, I mean. Once you sell your soul to a demon and become a vampire, you've essentially signed away your soul. People talk about Revelation and the mark of the beast, like it's credit cards or social security numbers or random crap. It's not. It's literally just anything that involves you selling your soul away to someone, or something. So yeah, this person, whoever he was, he's long gone. I turn a corner and spot him, the vampire, hunched over a pile of papers. I can't really tell why, old comics or something. I guess even vampires get bored. His pale, gaunt face and crimson-stained lips confirm his true nature. He looks up, his eyes meeting mine. A sinister grin spreads across his face, revealing elongated fangs. They don't always look that way. They appear normal most of the time. But if they haven't fed in a while, things can get hairy. Not furry, hairy, like in the scary sort of the word. If David were here, he'd probably say that not shaving my legs for a couple days would amount to me being hairy and scary. Ha ha, so funny. A shiver runs down my spine. Don't get me wrong, fighting vampires is one of the scariest parts of everyday life. Almost as bad as classes with Professor Gonzalez. Don't get me started on her, but I don't falter. Instead, I reach for the small crucifix hanging from my belt, holding it up to ward off the foul creature. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, I begin, reciting the Lord's Prayer in Latin. Or at least that's what I should have said. I get nervous when I'm scared and I guess sometimes I just quip. To lighten the mood a little. So I quipped. Hey, Dilbert is on page 4 of the funnies. My grandfather always calls the comics funnies. I thought that was a funny term for them. But I guess they're funny, so funnies makes sense. I wonder if this vampire calls comics funnies. The vampire laughs. I guess a win for my sense of humor? You're a funny one, little girl. He growls hungrily, eyes darting to and fro, the way the demon-possessed typically do. I bet you'll taste particularly delicious. I don't really get this. I mean, I know vampires have a craving for blood, but doesn't all blood basically taste the same? I have tasted my own blood if I get a cut or something, reduce, reuse, recycle. I have to do my part for the planet, I kid, although not entirely, and it just tastes like salty coppery stuff. I would think all blood basically tastes the same. But I guess I'm not a vampire, so maybe there really is a difference. I'll have to ask a vampire sometime. Maybe today? Do different blood types actually taste different? He looks stunned by my question, a little caught off guard. I guess I would be too. He laughs at my silly but also sort of serious question. Fool, your antics can't defeat the unholy power of the devil himself. Spoiler. They can, and they do. You have no idea the height of my powers. Soon, the full force of hell will be unleashed. And we will usher in the end of all things. Like in Mad Max Fury Road? I ask. I'm genuinely curious what the heck he's talking about. I wonder if he watched that movie before he sold his soul to a monologuing demon. The what? Now he's genuinely confused. For a half second a part of me imagines him whipping out a flame-throwing guitar and playing a demonic tune at me. But he doesn't, he just looks at me kind of funny. I use his confusion to my advantage. This time I actually raise my crucifix and utter the Lord's Prayer. The vampire recoils, his hissing and growling intensifying. The power of faith courses through me, filling me with courage. I step forward, dipping my fingers into the holy water at my waist and flicking it at him. He howls in agony as the water sizzles on his skin. By the power of Christ, I command you to be gone. I shout, brandishing a wooden stake. The wooden stake is a classic, but there are other ways to deal with vampires. This just happens to be one of the simplest. He lunges, but I'm faster. Years of actually doing this are surprisingly useful. But more importantly, this vampire was pretty fresh. By that I mean he hadn't been a vampire for very long. That's the opportune moment, as Captain Jack Sparrow would say. The longer the possession continues, the harder the vampire is to actually take down. The stupider demons also tend to be the ones who monologue more. The smarter ones keep a lower profile, and the dumb ones are usually the easiest to track, like this one. With a swift motion, I plunge the stake, itself blessed by Catholic prayers and holy water, into his heart, ending his cursed existence. The vampire does not disintegrate into ashes. That's not a thing that happens. Instead, he just reverts into normal human form. This makes it easier for vampires to conceal their existence from normal folks, but also means that you have to be careful not to leave any DNA behind at the scene of a crime. Hence the gloves I'm wearing. And the short haircut. And vigorous brushing of said hair every morning. And a lot of things. I take a moment to catch my breath. Another hunt completed, another threat vanquished. I can't help but wonder, though, what it would be like to live an ordinary life, free from the shadows and secrets. But, in the words of Darth Vader, this is my destiny. And, you know what? It's kind of cool. Scary as all get out, to be sure. I don't think there'll ever be a day where I get over the stark terror that pierces my heart every time I set eyes on one of these foul beasts. But duty calls. No, I don't have to go to the bathroom. I didn't mean it like that, weirdo. Still, I wonder what the demon, vampire meant when he said the end of all things was nigh or whatever. I mean, I know demons are typically all about doom and gloom, but usually most of them don't really care that much about the end of the world. You know how the Bible says not even Jesus knows when that's happening? Yeah, demons read the Bible too. There are more important things to focus on in terms of ruining people's lives than trying to make the end of the world happen. It's just a kind of unusual thing for a vampire to say. Are we there yet? Jess whines for the millionth time from the backseat. Well, not literally the millionth time. That would be physically impossible, I think. Actually, I think I googled that once and it said that it would take like 12 days or so. So maybe it's not actually impossible. But it probably meant 12 days without stopping, and you would probably get really thirsty if you were doing that. Might even lose your voice. And Jess definitely hasn't lost her voice. So it's probably not the millionth time. But, you know, people just say that as a nicer way of saying, you're being really, really annoying. Jess, I swear, if you ask that one more time I'm making you ride strapped to the roof rack for the rest of the trip, I threaten over my shoulder. Jess just sticks her tongue out at me before going back to braiding Daniela's hair. Those two have been joined at the hip since 3rd grade. Again, not literally, just to be clear. I feel like I should specify because there are real people who are joined at the hip. Conjoined twins. There's a whole TV show about a set of such twins, I think. They're also married, and I don't even want to know how that works. They're not married to each other, to other people. And again, not something I want to learn more about. I just meant to clarify that that wasn't the case for Jess and Daniela. They were just really good friends. We all were. I mean, duh. Who goes camping with people you don't like? I focus my attention back on the winding forest road, hoping we're close to the campground. Texas has a lot of great campsites, which may be surprising to some people who think the state is just a bunch of cowboys and cacti. Apparently, cactuses is also correct. But I grew up hearing cacti, which I think is also right, so cacti it is. I think it has to do with the Latin or something. Did anyone else's mom make them study Latin outside of normal school? But there are actually tons of places that are great for weekend getaways with friends like this. Just expect to deal with things being hot all the time. Yes, even in the winter. This is Texas, after all. That, and unpredictable weather sometimes, besides the heat, I mean. Like rain and stuff. That's what I'm talking about. No snow really. So when Jess and Daniela begged me to take them camping for winter break, a weekend of s'mores and probably a little bit of bug spray sounded kinda fun, he'd aside. And maybe we'd get lucky. East Texas is known for having cooler weather than the South, West where I'm from. But after 6 hours crammed in my ancient Honda Accord, fun Christian joke. Did you know that I drove the same car that Jesus did? Yep, it's true. John chapter 12 verse 49 says, quoting Jesus, I did not speak of my own accord. Ha ha. Blasting Taylor Swift though, I'm starting to question my decision-making skills. Just a little bit. Not because I don't love my friends, they're great, but something about what that vampire I killed had said a few months prior is still stuck in my head. The end of all things. You know when a song gets stuck in your head but you just can't get it out and you need to listen to the song again to get it out of your head, but you're afraid that having to listen to it again will just make it even more stuck in your head because your head is weird and you have anxiety sometimes? Yeah, that's what I'm feeling right now. Nothing else unusual had really been going on since then. I've mostly been focused on getting adjusted to college life. But, I don't know, I just have a feeling. I have a bad feeling about this kind of vibes. That's Star Wars, for any of the uninitiated out there. Fun movies, but the new ones are overrated if you ask me. I spot a weathered wooden sign up ahead labeled Tyler State Park, with a big map and an arrow pointing right down a narrow dirt road. Oh thank goodness, I mutter to myself, cranking the wheel. My little Honda rumbles down the bumpy path, tall pines whipping by on either side. After a few minutes, we enter a large clearing filled with tents and RVs ringed by the forest. There's a large lake out on the other side. Great place for kayaking and stuff like that, if you're into that sort of thing. I like this place because it's not as far east as Houston but still lets you feel like you're in the pine tree forest, which, I guess, is because you are in the pine tree forest. Jess lets out an excited squeal. It's so pretty. She did actually squeal. I have an uncle out in West Texas who has a farm and he owns a number of farm animals, including some pretty cute oinkers. But boy, do they squeal. And Jess, somehow, bless her heart, has perfected the ability to squeal exactly like one of the piglets. She just doesn't realize it, and I haven't had the heart to tell her. It's fine, as long as she doesn't end up dating a farmer boy or something like that. Did anyone read that book, Farmer Boy, as part of the Little House on the Prairie series? I don't really remember much about the book other than that the main character was always eating tons of pies and foods. Reminds me of a pig. Maybe that's why Jess's squeal made me think of that. Also I'm hungry. Squealer or not, Jess has a point, and I have to agree with her, as I take in the towering trees silhouetted against the setting sun. Looks like no rain this week. Daniela calls out from the passenger seat. Will it be hot though? I grumble, still thinking about squealing pigs on a hot day. Ray, it's winter time. Of course it won't be hot, she replies, scrolling absent-mindedly through her weather app. No rain is a start. But really? That confident in no heat? Your overconfidence is your weakness, I say, channeling the Emperor, Star Wars again. Mimicking the raspy old evil dude's voice. My friends just laugh, typical. But hey, no rain. Nice to know this outdoor excursion won't be a total bust. I find us a decent site that isn't already occupied, park the car, and my friends help me pitch our tent as the daylight fades. Soon we have a cozy fire crackling away, the three of us huddled around it toasting marshmallows in preparation for our s'mores. Isn't it kind of funny how we say the fire crackles, and then we make s'mores and stuff, which have marshmallows, and you use marshmallows to make Rice Krispie treats. And the literal slogan for Rice Krispies is, snap, crackle, pop. Daniela and Jess look at me. Jess rolls her eyes. Oh my God, Ray. You're so funny. She and Daniela burst into laughter. I grin, despite myself. They're used to my scatterbrained thoughts being live-streamed for them when we hang out like this. And yes, I did say, trademark sign, out loud when I said that. Come on, Ray, tell us a scary story. Jess demands, chocolate smeared all over her face. Daniela nods eagerly next to her. I laugh. Jess, we're already out in the middle of nowhere surrounded by what'll soon be pitch darkness. Not creepy enough for you? Jess just sticks out her lip in an exaggerated pout. I pretend to think hard. Come all right, but don't say I didn't warn you. I scoot in closer to the fire. So, rumor has it these very woods we're camping in tonight have some unusual inhabitants. I spin them a tale, drawing inspiration from some of my own wilder adventures. Daniela and Jess are soon clinging to each other, eyes wide. And so, the beast dragged the man's mangled body back to its lair, leaving a trail of blood in its wake. I continue, dropping my voice lower. As I say this, a twig snaps loudly from the tree line behind us. Daniela shrieks as all three of us whip around. My muscles instantly tense for action until I spot the culprit. A totally regular, non-supernatural squirrel perches on a low branch, tilting its head curiously at us. It's carrying what is probably some kind of nut, and its cheeks are very fat-looking, I assume stuffed with more nuts. I've always found it so funny how obsessed squirrels are with nuts, to the point that they'll literally stuff their cheeks full of them but then can't actually eat them while doing so. But I guess that's just to carry the nuts. And I guess that's what happens when you don't have pockets. You and me both, squirrel. Someone should start a clothing line for women that exclusively has pockets. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe a squirrel could be the mascot. No one would get the joke except me, though, so maybe not. Jess bursts out laughing. Oh man, nice going Daniela. Daniela shoves her, cheeks flushed. That was scary, shut up. I join in their laughter, my pulse calming back down. Maybe that's enough spooking each other for one night. We chat for a while longer until the girls start yawning. It's been a day. Driving takes it out of you, even if all you're doing is sitting there. We douse the dying fire and climb into our tent, zipping ourselves into our sleeping bags. Surrounded by the sound of wind whispering through the trees, we eventually drift off. I awake some time later to an eerie howling piercing the night. My eyes fly open, instantly alert. Next to me Jess and Daniela slumber on, dead to the world. Not literally dead, I remind myself, just figuratively dead. Haven't seen one of those before, but supposedly they actually exist. Father Ben. He's our residential bishop, and a close family friend. He is familiar with what we do. Makes confession time easier. Not that killing vampires is a sin or anything. Once said that a zombie is probably what would happen if someone ate from the tree of life while possessed by a demon. You'd basically be a walking dead person, dead soul and decomposing body but somehow weirdly alive and unable to fully die. My friends aren't zombies, it just made me think of that. Heart pounding, I quietly unzip my sleeping bag and grab the compact crossbow I covertly brought, just in case. It is Texas, so gun territory and all that, but there's something about a trusty crossbow that just hits different. Literally. You can't shoot a wooden stake through the heart of a vampire with a pistol, but you can with a crossbow. It hits different, get it? Plus, I want to try this thing out. My dad gave it to me as a birthday gift a while back and I hadn't gotten a real opportunity to use it beyond practice, which I am getting pretty good at. Why he couldn't have given it to me before I hunted that other vampire I told you about before, the one in the old abandoned hotel, I don't know. It would have made things a lot less scary. Unzipping the entrance, I carefully crawl out of the tent, scanning the dark woods, one hand resting on the crucifix on my belt. The howl sounds again from my left, closer this time. Too deep and guttural to be an ordinary wolf. Come to think of it, I'm not even sure if Tyler, Texas has wolves. Maybe they do. I should probably look that up next time I camp here, if there is a next time, of course. I creep towards the tree line, crossbow raised, and pull out a small but powerful flashlight I have fixed to the crossbow. About 20 feet into the forest, my flashlight beam illuminates something hunched behind a rotten log, fur bristling, fangs bared. It takes me a second to process what I'm seeing. I see the large canine muzzle first, wet saliva dripping from bared fangs. The creature has a large dog's shape and size, but its eyes are burning red instead of what I would expect from a dog or wolf. Not literally burning, just like, glowing. Its flesh ripples horrifically under the beam of my flashlight. My breath catches as I feel fear choking my throat. Could it be a werewolf? Were-dog? I've researched werewolves but never actually encountered one. I assume were-dogs could be real, too. But why here, and why now? Before I can ponder further, the beast lets loose a bone-chilling snarl and charges straight at me. So much for s'mores and bug spray. I guess I was right about things taking a hairy turn. My heart lurches as I leap sideways, barely avoiding the snarling beast's snapping jaws. Whoa there, boy? I say uncertainly. Do you call were creatures boy or girl based on their human or animal form? I have no idea. Not that I had a chance to inspect its, Plus who knows, maybe they're gender fluid. Daniela is always saying that gender is just a social construct, but I wonder how that applies to a werewolf with probably no social skills. I put a pin in that thought for later since Fangface here keeps attempting to use me as a chew toy. I scramble up onto a nearby boulder, crossbow aimed steady in my hands. Down below, the creature prowls back and forth, its glowing crimson eyes following my every movement. I notice a strange symbol branded into its shoulder, still smoking faintly red, some kind of occult marking? My mind races to try and place it. An alchemy sign, perhaps? Before I can puzzle it out further, Wolfie McChustine braces on its muscular haunches to spring. I loose a bolt from the crossbow, striking the beast in the tail somehow. It yelps, more startled than injured, before rounding on me again with a ferocious roar. Yikes, sorry, I yell instinctively. Wait, what is wrong with me? I'm in mortal peril here, stop being so polite. I think it just reminded me of when I went hunting once with my dad and we found the perfect buck for dinner. I thought it would be so cool if I could show my dad how great of a shot I was. Except I hit the poor fool in the shoulder and didn't kill it right away. I felt so bad. But that was just a normal deer, not at weredeer. I wonder if weredeers exist. Regardless, now isn't the time for manners. I hop to another rock barely in time to avoid a swipe of its claws. Think, I tell myself, panting hard. Silver. I need silver to fight a werewolf. My hand jumps to my neck where my silver, and most importantly, pointy-tipped, crucifix hangs, and I come up empty. Crap. I took it off when I was showering and we were in such a rush this morning that I left it in the bathroom at home. And of course didn't bring silver bullets or other blades, rookie mistake. All I have are blessed oak bolts and a vial of holy water. The bolts seem about as bothersome as mosquito bites to this freakish hellhound. Maybe I could try exorcising it? Though, I've never seen symbols like those markings before. Could be something more ancient, something else. I rack my brain, wishing I paid better attention during Occult Studies 101 with Father Mike. He's some distant second-removed uncle or what have you who's both a priest and a family vampire etc. hunter. But his class was honestly just not well taught. Remember, kids, just because you're good at your job does not mean you should be a teacher. The beast lets loose a bone-rattling roar of frustration as I leap just out of reach again. It braces to spring up the rock towards me, lips curled back to reveal rows of glistening fangs longer than my fingers. Down boy, I shout in desperation, my fingers managing to wrap around the small vial in my pocket, popping the top off and splashing it with holy water. To my shock, the creature yowls in pain, smoke rising from its drenched fur. It staggers backward with a furious snarl, red eyes blazing. Maybe this thing isn't a werewolf after all? They usually don't react to holy water. But it sure ain't no ordinary wolf or dog either. I glance between the glowing symbol still searing its shoulder and the sizzling holy water dripping from its muzzle. Come on, think. Put the pieces together. There's something almost demonic about this beast. My eyes widen with sudden realization. Surely it couldn't be that easy. Matthew chapter 8 tells of a situation where Jesus cast demons out of a man and the demons possessed some pigs. The demons, for whatever reason drives demons to do anything, made the doomed oinkers jump off a cliff and into the ocean, where they drowned. Poor squealers. But the point is, demons can possess animals. It just is extremely rare, because what's the point? The limited mental capacity of a common beast just doesn't let the demon work as much evil as they could by possessing a human. Demon. Demet eum. I cry out, commanding the foul spirit lurking within to release its hold on what I suspect to be an otherwise innocent forest predator. I guessed right. The possibly demon wolf but still possibly Jacob from Twilight shrieks furiously as I reveal my awareness of its true nature. Heart pounding, I steady the crossbow once more, mostly for my own confidence than anything else. There's just something about a sturdy crossbow that makes a gal feel confident in her abilities to expel hell's worst. All right, Fido, let's send you back to the pound. Eyes locked on the prowling monster, I begin chanting the banishing prayer under my breath. Banishing prayers for demons aren't complicated, but they don't really tend to work unless the subject of the possession is either bound with secure restraints, which is why it wouldn't have worked on Mr. Vampire from my last encounter, because the restraints help minimize the overall level of resistance they can give, or they're so mentally weak that you can utter the right prayer. And possessed animals definitely fall into the latter group, which is why any demon worth its salt won't possess an animal if at all possible. Still, it is one terrifying sight to behold. The demon-possessed wolf writhes on the ground, howling in pain as I finish the prayer. Black smoke starts pouring out of its mouth and nostrils. Gross. I didn't realize demons smell so bad when they exit a body. I haven't been this close before. Smells like rotten eggs mixed with skunk spray. One time when I was 12, my brother convinced me to help him make stink bombs to get back at the school bullies. We looked up how to do it online using stuff from my dad's garage. It involved mixing all these nasty chemicals that smelled so bad I almost barfed. David said real winners power through adversity or something like that. Easy for him to say with his shirt pulled up over his nose. Unfortunately, the stink bombs kind of exploded in our backpacks on the way to school because of the bumpy road we biked on. And yeah, you can imagine how well that plan worked. Anyway, where was I? Oh right. Demonic wolf exorcism. The dark wispy entity fully emerges from the creature's body, coalescing into a vaguely humanoid shape with glowing red eyes and pointed teeth bared in a snarl. How cliché. Don't demons have any originality? The bargain bin villain, demon vibe is so overdone. I bet this guy doesn't even have a backstory or motivations beyond raw evil. I mean, he possessed a wolf for crying out loud. Be gone, foul fiend, I shout, splashing the demon with holy water. It shrieks and dissipates into smoke, finally gone. The now freed wolf left behind blinks dazedly, then turns tail and races off into the dark woods. I breathe a sigh of relief, glad the innocent beast is free, and glad I didn't fatally wound it with my crossbow earlier. I guess Twilight fans don't have to riot over poor Jacob's untimely demise after all. I scan the surrounding trees warily in case the demon wolf was just a distraction from something worse lurking in the shadows. But the forest is calm and quiet once more, only the usual nighttime sounds of bugs and the occasional owl hoot or frog croak in the distance. Nothing to indicate the epic supernatural throwdown that just went down minutes before. Talk about going out with a whimper instead of a bang. My adrenaline rush fading, I suddenly feel totally wiped. Who knew exorcisms took so much out of you? I stifle a huge yawn as I gather up my fallen gear. I'll have to remember to thank Father Mike for making me memorize all those prayers. Though teaching skills he may lack, he did have a knack for getting us to memorize things. Maybe I won't even fall asleep in his next lecture. Well, we'll see. Anyway, I'm ready to get back to that cozy tent and sleeping bag. This chick needs her beauty sleep. Another day, another foe vanquished. As I crawl back into my warm sleeping bag, and drift back off to sleep, I can't help but wonder about the strange glowing symbol seared onto the wolf's shoulder. I try to visualize it in my mind's eye as consciousness leaves me. A partial circle with short ends coming off of the bottom part. Why does it seem so familiar? But it's lost to my dreams as I fade off into slumberland. That's the end of this story. If you found it engaging, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.